In the 80s, we all played Nintendo. Coming up, we're going to discuss our top 10 favorite Nintendo games. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Chat Stew. I'm Joe.
I'm Rick.
I'm Will.
And today we're going to be talking about our top 10 favorite Nintendo games that we played growing up. So let's get right into it. Number 10, Ghosts and Goblins. What can we say about Ghosts and Goblins?
Just remember throwing that big old javelin at everything I could see. That's what I remember.
The Lancer, the legendary Lancer.
Yeah.
I like,
Lancer.
I like Ghosts and Goblins. You're this knight, who gets tasked with saving the princess because this evil wizard goblin creature appears and kidnaps her, and you begin your quest through all the different lands to go and rescue her and save her. When you would get hit, his armor would fall off, and you'd be basically running around in your underwear, and it was like the worst feeling ever because you just had no protection. And
Still had your helmet.
no, you didn't have your. No, I don't think you had the helmet. I think you were just completely naked except
You had the boxers.
And I remember that game being hard as.
I don't remember.
I don't remember beating it, passing it, maybe a couple levels in. It was hard.
Wasn't the enemy like a gargoyle or something like that?
Some kind of. He had wings, fly around and stuff like that. I never got that far, so I don't know what the I couldn't tell you.
Hey, whoever finished it, let us know what it's like.
Yeah. Well, if you beat Ghosts and Goblins, was it worth it?
Yeah.
Did you feel fulfilled at the end? Was it a good ending? It was too hard for me at the time.
So number 9, Castlevania.
Yes, Castlevania. There's a lot of lore to that game, and it's grown into a lot of things, animated movies, and spawns off a bunch of different video games. But starting with that, what's his story? It's like a family of vampire hunters, right?
Yeah, you play as the Belmont family. Their quest for protecting the world from all the things that go bump in the night. They take on Dracula, which is the biggest bump. So. He's the guy with the whip,
Yeah, that whip, the Morningstar whip, and then I remember when you upgraded it, you would get the chain one with the spike ball at the end. Yeah, I mean, so in the beginning, you show up at Dracula's castle like, hey, I'm here to take you on. So the whole game, you're going through his whole castle of horrors, trying to get to him. And
upgrade.
You get the upgrade weapons that would kind of your throwing weapon, ranged weapons. What was your favorite, Will? What was your favorite ranged weapon?
I mean,
wait,
honestly, it was
the
axe.
boomerang, the boomerang, the axe. The axe would just go kind of like an arc. The boomerang would come back at you, and you would get that back to use because you had to spend points to use it. Throwing knife, the clock would freeze the enemies. It would stop time for like 5 seconds or something. And holy water.
Yeah. I think it was the boomerang and holy water.
Burn the ground around you or something like that. What was your favorite?
Boomerang and holy water. I think those.
Only one, Will.
So many. Boomerang. I'll go boomerang. It was a safer bet.
Holy water.
Really? Boomerang for sure.
The blue flames.
Boomerang for sure.
It did more damage.
This is true.
It depends on what enemy you're fighting.
True.
I don't think I beat that one either.
No. I think
it was hard. Those games were hard back then, man.
Yeah, all the games back in the NES were hard unless you spent a lot of time with it.
I think it was because they didn't let you keep going and going. You only got a certain amount of lives, and you could only continue a certain amount of times. I mean, which I think now games, even if they're hard, they let you keep going. You don't have to start all the way from the beginning at some point. That's probably why I didn't beat a lot of those back then.
Yeah, they didn't have a save battery. You couldn't save games.
Some of them had codes that you could put in.
Yeah.
There was like
half-page long
90-digit codes that you had to
Was it
write down, and the books would
Game
come with
Shark
spaces in the back where you could write these. It was like 100 numbers you had to write down, and it would put you back at where you're like the beginning of that level or something like that with all your status, your progress. But man, these long codes, and you couldn't tell the difference between like 0 and 0 and bad stuff, bad stuff.
Re-enter entire code.
Yeah.
But still a classic. One of my favorites.
Classic stuff.
So number 8 on our list is Excitebike. It was one of the first racing games I ever played. I remember there was a lot of little details on it, like you could build your own track and stuff like that. That's what lured me to it. Even the sounds of it, just to this day, still resonate in my head.
Drilled in your head.
It wasn't that difficult. It's just there was so many different, like the stages would turn colors, and the opponents would get harder as you went, and just as the small little subtle steps that made it a little bit difficult as you went on, kind of just made it one of those games where it was simple, but it was fun as hell to play.
Yeah, and if you don't know, Excitebike is like this side-scrolling dirt bike racing game where you have to you could race your friend, 2-player, or you could just go against the computer, and you're just going over jumps and trying to avoid water pits and oil pits. Overheating, you couldn't hit the gas the whole time. You had to like watch how much you were hitting the throttle, and you would crash and all that kind of. But again, I think, like you mentioned, the coolest part of that definitely was designing your own track, because you could just come up with the craziest, jumps and obstacles, and then to be able to play that, something that you created back then, level creation was, I think it was way ahead of its time for something like that. So yeah, Excitebike. Number 7, Kung Fu. Oh, Kung Fu. That is the first Nintendo game that I played when we first got Nintendo. Hours and hours and hours spent. Not too terribly complex. You're just this the big bad boss steals your girlfriend, and it's kind of like basically as a copy of the Bruce Lee movie Game of Death. You had these 5 levels that you had to go up, and each level had a boss at the end, and you would just plow through the henchmen, kicking and punching, with the kicks or whatever. Yeah, and then there was some knife throwing guys with sticks, and little obstacles and things like that would come at you, and you just basically just had to get all the way up. But it was cool having, I think that was my first experience with like a boss fight, like you'd fight all these repetitive goons over and over, and then, oh my gosh, here's a guy at the end who had his special little skill that you had to figure out. One guy had a staff. One guy had like a little separate guy who would jump off and do flips and things like that. All kinds of different stuff in it. But it was cool to have like the boss fight at the end of each level.
One of my favorite things about Kung Fu was it actually helped with like competition between me and my friends. Like we'd have like get-togethers or sleepovers, and it was like a big thing to see how far you could get. It almost kind of measured like your own skill in Kung Fu. I don't know. It was weird. It's a very weird thing. And then you got real heated. Like I remember I'm taking my ball and going home moments, because it just brought some kind of like heated competition out of kids. Number 6, Mega Man. What can you say about this game? The series it taught you patterns, it taught you competition, it taught you strategy. Mega Man is a pinnacle game. I don't know. It is one of the classic Nintendo games by far.
Again, epic boss fights. I really like how in the beginning you can choose what boss you want to go after first. So Mega Man, you're this robotic dude with an arm cannon, and each boss, their major weapon, once you beat them, you get to use that weapon. and some of those weapons work better on some of the other bosses than the others. So you had to figure out who to go after first, or is it a good idea to take on that guy if you don't have the other guy's weapon yet, or whatever. You're going to struggle harder to defeat him.
There was a lot of strategy in that game, and you had to think about what your move was and which weapon was something you were going to go for. It was great.
Okay, so at number 5 is Mario Brothers 3. We all played Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3. Can't think about Nintendo without thinking about Mario. So for us, Mario Brothers 3 kind of takes the cake when it comes to player interface, what's going on, some of the tricks that came up from 1, 2, and then now you're in 3, so you kind of look out for certain things. You're able to fly in this one. There's a lot of hidden things if you're paying attention. So for us, Mario Brother 3 it took the cake when it comes to 1 and 2 and then 3. So that's the one we most enjoyed the most.
I think me and probably everybody else who's played this, and I want to know what you guys have, if this worked out for you the same way down in the comments. But I was spoiled and I cheated when I first played Mario Brothers 3 because I watched a movie called The Wizard.
The Wiz.
Yeah, The Wizard. With Fred Savage. The Wiz, Rick, don't give me that face. The Wiz is with Michael Jackson and Diana Ross. Motown's The Wiz. Nipsey. Okay. Richard Pryor. A remake of The Wizard of Oz. The Wiz.
Yes,
okay. The Wizard is a video game based story, and
with
in
Fred
this
Savage in it.
with Fred Savage,
Fred Savage.
Allegedly, yeah. California.
That big green dinosaur out in the middle of nowhere.
It's a cult movie, like if you were around that time, it was kind of.
So in this game,
Lucas had the power glove.
I love the power glove. So in this movie, at the end, there's a tournament, and the top contestants get to play a game that wasn't out yet, which happened to be Mario Brothers 3.
Super Mario Brothers 3!
So in this movie, at the end, there's a tournament, and the top contestants get to play a game that wasn't out yet, which happened to be Mario Brothers 3. So as you watch this movie, you were getting a preview of Mario Brothers 3 that was going to come out soon. But in this game, the kid who's playing, he finds a cheat, the warp whistle, and it lets him skip a whole bunch of levels and go like straight to the end. And when I got the game, I cheated too. So I skipped a lot of the game and went to the end and beat it.
Well, you were just doing what they told you could do.
So I want to know who else cheated and just used the warp whistle because they saw the wizard. Let me know in the comments.
It's kind of crazy that entire movie is just one big commercial for Super Mario 3
and the power glove.
Wow, and the power glove.
Number 4, Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
Ooh. Just let it sink in, people.
Yeah.
Again, Mike Tyson, not Punch Out, where they took him out and the license and blah, blah, blah. Mike Tyson's Punch Out. This game was epic. We're all still riding off the Rocky high. And this kind of like fed that. You got to kind of like, I guess maybe just subconsciously, we all just pretended to be Rocky.
Well, you're the underdog thing. It's like, yeah.
Even the training montages was like Rocky, so.
Yeah, they heavily were.
The pink jumpsuit.
They took a lot from Rocky.
But this was great because, this is a game where you're a boxer and you go up against all the opponents. But it was really cool because every opponent just had some kind of gimmick to them, some kind of special move that they would do. All the characters were great and memorable, and they all had their theme song and music when they'd come on. would set the stage for them. So I just remember having lots of fun playing that. And I didn't beat that one either.
Yeah,
I got
Billy.
the farthest I got up to was Bald Bill the second time. Bald Bull the second time. I think because you had to fight some of them twice. And he was the last one before Mike Tyson, and I remember I maybe got to Mike Tyson once or twice because again that's another one where you can't just keep playing and playing and playing.
Correction. Bald Bull was third to last. You had to fight Macho Man. Macho Man. It was number 2, and then you. And
he only came up once at the end, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you name quickly the fighters in order?
I can't name number 2.
Was it Glass Joe?
The German guy?
This is a German guy, and I can't remember his name. Got Glass Joe, German dude, can't name. Piston Honda. Number 4 was Bald Bull. Then you had Dom Flamingo. Then you had
King Hippo was after him.
King Hippo was like number 10. Because you had to go through the
was it the Bruce Lee? What's his name?
Piston Honda.
Piston Honda. Okay.
Yeah, that was a Japanese dude.
The Japanese guy.
The bonsai freaking headband.
That's right. God, you got a good memory.
You got to fight him twice. You got to fight Bald Bull twice. You got Don Flamingo, and then you get into Soda Pop Popinski, which was a real pain in the ass to beat for some reason. I always had problems with Soda Pop Popinski. Yeah, then you just King Hippo, and then you just fight like Bald Bull and all those guys numerous times. Piston Honda sucks the second time around.
Yeah, for sure.
He's a joke in the first time. Just gotta catch those eyebrows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like
they all had a little tell before they would.
They all had a tell, but even the crowd would tell you what they were gonna do too. If you looked at the crowd.
Yeah, but we didn't learn that until we were like 30 years old. So I didn't know that until YouTube.
Oh yeah, I thought it was a snow.
You mean to tell me that you picked up on that as a kid?
I didn't. I knew that other people had picked up on it, and they would tell us.
No, I don't. That's a lie. I don't think so. They're lying.
Oh, everybody did.
Nah, I think everyone was too busy actually watching the fighters and playing the game. That's a YouTube thing that came way later. Like, did you know that if you watch the crowd, the camera will flash, telling you when they're.
I'm telling you, I knew kids that knew about that, older kids that knew about that, and they told us about it. They knew.
This is pre-internet, so how did they know about all
the internet?
I don't know. I don't believe it.
I don't like it.
I don't like it.
Sounds fishy. Stinks.
Yeah.
And number 3, Contra.
Doom, ding, 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 boom.
This is like off the Rambo cusp, like these games where it was like multi-shooters and all this kind of stuff. And Contra was kind of the pinnacle of all those things. It was great. Great game.
So hold on. Just take a look at the cover. You have Sylvester Stallone, Rambo, and you got Arnold Schwarzenegger and like Commando.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Commando.
Just superimpose the pictures.
Pretty much, yeah. It's like their likeness.
It's a walking action. It was like an action movie. It was great. It was great.
Yeah, it's another one where it's side-scrolling shooter. You 2-player, which was the only way to do it. Sit there with a friend and play through it, or your brother. And you could get weapon upgrades. What was everybody's favorite?
If anyone says anything other than spray, it's ridiculous. It's the spray. The laser.
That's really the only upgrade.
Yeah, everything else is just like
If you couldn't
A
have
mistake.
that, what would you pick?
Either machine gun or the circle one.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd go with the laser because that did crazy.
No, because it's like if you try to push the button quickly,
It
it
would
just
just like-
stays with your gun. No, piss me off. You know how many times I died because of that? So there's not a freaking argument. Let's get it straight right now, Joe. Say the Contra code.
Up, up, down, down, left, right, BA start.
Thought it was select start. Tell me, Will. Tell me, McCluskey. Tell me what time it is.
Up, down, down, left, right, or left, right, BA start.
Boom!
Okay,
Should
I
have
was
bet you
asking-
another
I
$10.
was asking. I wasn't trying to tell you wrong.
Yeah.
All right. So number 2 is Kid Icarus. Now there's a lot of people out there for some reason that I've talked to that just don't know what Kid Icarus was. They didn't.
What's the matter with
understand
you?
it. They didn't like if they played it. Oh, I only played it for a little bit, and didn't realize that it's like 2 hours of like nonstop, like just. I mean, I don't get it.
You're Icarus, and you have your little wings. You got the bow and arrow, and you're going through, and you fight all these mythical creatures. I can't remember what the main plot was. I know I think you have to get your armor back, and like your god weapons back, and I think Medusa has them or something like that.
Medusa.
And Grim Reaper, Rick, and if it would walk back and forth, and if it saw you, it would
Freak out.
freak out, too. And like all these little ones would come after you and stuff, and it was just a hassle to get rid of those and shake that. So every time you saw him, you were just like, "Please don't see me. Please don't see me." That's the first unofficial stealth game.
Yeah, so if that's his biggest concern and hatred of that game, if any of you have actually played the game and actually went to fruition and beat it, you'll know the biggest pain in the ass in the game is if you get hit with those damn eggplants.
God damn
Guys,
eggplant.
If you get hit with those dudes throwing the eggplants, it will f your day up, man. I swear to God, because you got to go all the way to one of your little rest spots so they can get it taken off, and that can take you 20 minutes in itself. Oh.
Just backtrack to get it off, just to come all the way back and get it put on you again by accident. All right, so our number 1 game is Metroid. Definitely, I know this isn't in any particular order, but this probably is my number 1 favorite Nintendo game. You're a bounty hunter in space, and you go and collect bounties and hunt down creatures and monsters. And I just remember playing this game over and over. I don't know why it had huge replay value for me, but there was something about the way it was structured. You'd get a weapon upgrade that would allow you, there's a big map with all these different places you could go in different sections, and maybe you could go there, but you couldn't quite get into a certain area until you got a weapon upgrade, and then you could backtrack, and that would allow you to get up there. Maybe it would allow you to jump higher or turn into a ball where you can get into a small space.
It set a precedent for, now we have the term like Metroidvania. So you have Castlevania and Metroid. Those, like, any game that's even similar to those two games now, it's a source game. It's great. So
yeah, the classic side-scrolling 2D level
right.
progression.
Using another upgrade to get to another upgrade and exploring the world. And yeah, so Metroid is probably, in the pantheon of Nintendo. It's up there.
I'm ready for a new 2D version of like a new Metroid. I would love to see that. With the way that they're doing some of these 2D games now, with beautiful artwork and like awesome backgrounds and I think they could do some really cool stuff. So
Then-
if
yeah.
Nintendo, if you're listening,
And of course, the ending. The ending is was kind of a shock. Like let's be
oh
real.
yeah,
Like,
the first multiple, you could do multiple endings depending on your progress you made during the game.
progress.
All right, that was our top 10 favorite Nintendo games in no particular order. We want to know what you guys think. What are your favorite Nintendo games that you played growing up? Let us know in the comments down below. And also, if you like what we're doing, remember to hit the like button, subscribe, and the notifications bell so you can always know when we do a new video and when we get new content. And we're going to keep that coming out for you. So this is Chat Stew. I'm Joe.
I'm Rick.
Well,
I just wanted to leave this last thing of what I feel, and a couple other people too that I've talked to feel, what was the worst Nintendo game ever made. And for me, and for a couple other people I've talked to, it has to be Joust. I remember
No
being
doubt, without a doubt, Joust was the worst game.
so disappointed. I remember when Blockbuster was a thing. If you're a certain age, you remember those. If you're not, you don't know what the heck I'm talking about. But I remember going into one of those joints, trying to snatch up a Nintendo game to rent, and it was like my turn to do it, not my brother's. And I was like, ooh, and I grabbed Joust, got it home, popped that thing in, and was devastated that I made the choice to get Joust. Of all
The
games.
worst.
that bad, huh?
The
You
worst.
never played Joust?
Yeah, I just it is what it is. Like I
No,
said.
it's not. Is what
It's
it is.
not is what it is. That game is horrible.
Horrible. Garbage.
No. No good.
Sorry for your love.
Track and field, Joe.
Honorable mention. Honorable mention. Highly competitive.
With any luck, he's already got the grill. Alright, we'll find him. He sticks out like a sore thumb. Like hell you will. He knows every local custom from here to Bangladesh. He speaks a dozen languages, so blend in, disappear.
You'll
with it.
never
He's a-
you'll never see him. With any luck, he's got the grail already. Cuts to it. Oh no, thank you. Oh God, no, please. Oh, I'm a vegetarian. Oh, want to speak English.
The best bluff of all time.